Table 5-9 is the medial compartment of the thigh. There are 5 muscles here, and their primary action is going to adduct the thigh at the hip joint or bring the thigh back into midline. But they're also going to have a little bit of ability to flex and even extend the thigh. The first muscle is the pectineus, and you can see just by the nature of its origin and insertion that it's not going to have a huge effect on the thigh, but it will help to adduct the thigh at the hip joint as well as weakly flex the thigh. And the pectineus, as you can see, sits very superficial on the thigh. It sits just medial to the iliopsoas muscle. The next muscle is the adductor longus. And you can see it peeking out just medial to the pectineus. And it will also adduct and help flex the thigh at the hip joint. The next muscle is the adductor brevis. And I'm going to hide a few muscles here to make it a little bit easier to see. Well, there's the adductor brevis right here. So it's sandwiched in between the pectineus and the adductor longus. If you were to look at this muscle on a cadaver, you would notice that it is deep in relation to those 2 muscles. So I'm going to isolate that muscle, hide some muscles. There is the brevis, and it has the same action as the other muscles. And then we have what is called the adductor magnus. So I will hide a few of these muscles so we can more easily see it. You can see it peeking out right here. So I'm going to isolate that muscle, and you can see that it actually has a very large point of insertion. So this is the muscle that, depending on which muscle fibers are initiated, can help with flexion or extension of the thigh at the hip joint. Again, this is a very large muscle, and it spans the entire width of the thigh. The last muscle of the medial compartment is the gracilis, and the gracilis runs directly up and down in the middle of the thigh. And this muscle is commonly confused with the sartorius just because it's a long, skinny muscle like the sartorius. But the gracilis, its origin is on the inferior ramus and the body of the pubis. And its insertion is down in the pes anserinus, which is that common insertion on the proximal medial side of the tibia. So when this muscle contracts, it will help adduct the thigh at the hip joint, and it will weakly flex at the hip joint. And this muscle also crosses the knee joint, so it will help with flexion of the leg at the knee joint. So question number 7 is, what muscle of the medial compartment can extend the thigh at the hip joint? So which of the muscles of the medial compartment can extend the thigh at the hip joint? So it's either going to be the pectineus, the adductor longus, the adductor brevis, the adductor magnus, or the gracilis. So one of those 5 muscles causes extension of the thigh at the hip joint. Which muscle is it?